a sheet mask because my skin looks really terrible recently. So I'm trying to fix it. This sheet mask is called Renew. I've been really struggling with my scheduling for the podcast because the last 4 weeks or 5 weeks I have recorded Wednesdays when the podcast is due on Thursdays. I feel I procrastinate a lot, and my last minuteness is not something I want to continue doing. I want to have a day for recording and have the whole week to edit it, or if I don't like the way my ideas sound, I can go back and adjust what I said and record a new take. There's a podcast coming out next week called Unrequited Love, and that is my very first story time from a mini story I wrote, a story book, a mini book I wrote, 50 pages. And I'm going to say that story next week. But I think I want to put as much effort to every single weekly episode as I did for the episode that's coming out next week, because that story was written for a month. I created the characters and I created backstories for the characters that you would never hear, but I wanted the story to make a lot of sense when it's coming across to the listening ear. Today's episode is called Updates, and I know because of the style of this podcast, because it's a weekly conversation with you, or a weekly talk. I know it's not always going to be perfect, but I always try and think of ways I could improve the podcast and make it seem more conversational, even if the bounds of our conversations are very limited to YouTube comments and podcast comments. You would never have the privilege, maybe next year, but this year you would never have the privilege to DM me privately like last year, because I'm not on social media. I'm going to tell you the story. It was a Sunday. Every single story I tell you, it's always a Sunday. But it was a Sunday, and I woke up, and what we all mostly do when we wake up in the morning, we reach for our phones. And I'm not a stranger to that. I reached for my phone and I opened TikTok. And I've said this story on this podcast before. I opened TikTok and I saw Beyonce leaning on a car and she almost fell. In my head, I did not have any thoughts. I was scrolling to find someone to give an opinion or their opinion about what was going on. And I thought, if I could hear this person's opinion, then I can formulate and construct my own opinion to either be similar to this person's opinion or agree with what that person's saying, or when I'm talking to somebody else, I can pass on this person's opinion as my opinion because it sounds better than what I will come up with. And I think for the last 4 years, that's what I've been doing. I think I pass off the smart people I follow on social media opinions as my original thought. Not on the podcast, obviously, but in real life conversations with other people. When I decided to delete TikTok and social media, I did not delete TikTok from my phone. I still have TikTok on my phone. I never go on TikTok unless I'm at the gym and I'm looking for a specific sound to run to. I don't scroll on the app anymore. I have the app as it's hidden on my phone. So because I never see the app, I never want to scroll on the app. Unless I'm at the gym and I'm okay, I'm intentionally thinking of what I have to search to run at the gym for TikTok. And the only reason why I did not delete TikTok from my phone is because I have to promote this podcast on TikTok. That's the main reason why I did not delete TikTok from my phone. I would have deleted the app from my phone. That's the only app I have that's hidden from the rest of my apps. And the other two were deleted. Snapchat and Instagram were deleted because I could not anymore. Snapchat is the devil and Instagram is one of devil's demons. I can't with any of those apps. Those are my three main apps: Instagram, TikTok, and Snapchat. And I deleted all three within 2 months. The first to go was Instagram. I knew I could not continuously consume people's lives. And these people, the people I was following on Instagram, they were not extraordinary people. They were people I knew personally. And I knew I could not continuously consume their lives without getting jealous. Yes, just being really honest. I knew I could not continuously consume other people's lives without getting jealous of X lives going so well and this is my life. So I had to stop consuming Instagram. And for Snapchat, I did not like the platform. So that's why I deleted Snapchat. And TikTok stole my time. That's why I deleted TikTok ultimately. So that's the reason why I deleted all three of the social media platforms. In the last 2 months that I've not been on social media, I've been saying 2 months. I can't remember when I stopped consuming social media. But I would say 2 months. It's July. We're in September now, so 2 months. In the last 2 months, since I deleted all social media platforms from my phone. I would say I never really felt the effect of not having entertainment from TikTok or Instagram, because I had entertainment from YouTube, because I was like consuming more intellectual content. And I was reading books as well, and I joined a book club as well. So I had other forms of entertainment that were not necessarily social media, TikTok, Instagram. I felt relieved that I did not have to constantly get bombarded by news that was going on. That's the ultimate reason why I left social media. I just felt it was too much to handle at once. And I know there are brave people on the planet that can handle consuming other people's lives and like feeling happy. And I'm not saying I don't feel happiness with other people. I truly do feel happiness with other people when I hear good things happen to other people. But at the same time, when you hear a good thing happens to someone you're very close to, or someone you know, there is this nagging thoughts. Maybe you don't experience it, but I experience it as a human being. But there's this nagging thoughts that, oh, X is better than me. Recently, I've started thinking, I don't think I was sentient until 2022. I don't think I was a sentient human being until 2022, because I truly can't remember my life before 2022. I think I can remember small bursts. Maybe that's how life goes. You're meant to like remember small bursts of life, but I think I can't remember anything pre 2022. I think I became sentient. I became human 2022. I know when I was doing the series, I was like teasing the update episode. I'm gonna sit here and like pour everything out. But at the same time, I think when you think a lot, or when you're someone who, I overthink a lot, but like when you're someone who is always upstairs, like always in your brain, every single action you make, you are the author and controller of your actions. I think when you are someone like me who does that, you tend to structure the words, things that come out of your mouth in a very particular way. I wish I could pluck my brain out and give you everything that was out, like that I think of, and freely say it out loud. But I can't say every single thing I think of out loud, because I feel I have to keep some things for myself. I'm not comfortable enough to like say a lot of things I write down out loud. I was walking, I was thinking about my auntie. Yesterday was my auntie's birthday, and the day this podcast comes out is my other auntie's birthday, and I was thinking about my auntie, and I was saying to myself, I operates better writing my feelings or my emotions down rather than saying it out loud, because I feel when I say it out loud, I don't express myself as I don't articulate my thoughts well enough unless I write it down. Because when I say it out loud, in my head, my brain is like, oh, make this a joke, because if people think you're serious, they'll think something's wrong. Make it a joke. So when I'm writing, I don't have to like make it a joke, because the act of writing something down means you're taking X or whatever seriously. So I have been writing a lot of things down and finding myself voice it out in a very human way and not making every single thing a passing joke. So I did not call her, because I knew if I called her, I'd have just been laughing like a crazy person and trying to make everything a joke. But I wrote her a birthday text because I thought that would be better. And she doesn't pick up the phone, so she doesn't pick. She if you're dying and you have, like, let's say I had really bad thoughts and I needed to call her, I would be dead. I have operated in a very disciplinarian. That's a real word, but I don't think I pronounced it well. But I think I've operated in a very disciplined way my whole life. I think I have wanted to have control of every single thing from waking up to going to bed. I think I have lost that control recently. I think I've relinquished control to the demon that is my phone and the device. I swear, if my phone doesn't cooperate with me in 6 months, I will get rid of my phone and start holding like a block phone. I'm not joking. You think I'm joking? I'll just come one morning or like one day and tell you I have a block phone now, because my phone is really irritating me. The demon that's inside the phone, I don't know what they do to humans. They control humans with that device. That device is the 666 mark. Y'all are not waking up. This is a hot take, but y'all are not waking up. That's the mark of the beast. The phone is the mark of the beast, and those who don't have the phones are going to heaven. Y'all thought the mark of the beast was going to be a forehead scribble. Oh no, it's your devices. Yes, it's your devices. I'm not joking. I think the more I think of it, that's the mark of the beast. The phones, the devices, they might be the mark of the beast. I think I've lost control, and I've lost control in a lot of ways in my life. I've lost control in the way I consume food. I've been eating a lot recently, and I gained a lot of weight. I look like a house. I look like someone's house. I'm like 95 right now. So I gained all the weight I said I lost earlier this year. I was 85 sometime like early, like in March, and now I'm 95. So I gained 10 kgs more. So I have to like lose those 10 kgs and lose like 20 more. My eating problem recently, or like in the last 2 weeks. And I think the problem I have with like food is my mindset about food. I don't know what to say. I'm not. I don't want to talk about that today. I've been struggling with God. I've been saying to God, if God is real, and this is like a question. I don't think I'm not trying to be like this type of Christian. I'm not trying to be existential. But I think if God is real and God like answers every single person. I was saying to myself, I was like, if I was God, I would give every single person their dream lives. And at the end of the day, they would still notice that in their dream lives, there is something they still don't like. Like, I think a lot of the times we feel like if our dreams come true, then we will be totally happy. It will fill us with joy and happiness. I was thinking of it and I was like, I don't think that's true. I think you'll be happy when you achieve your dreams, but you still have hard times and still be unhappy in some moments of your life. I don't think have like, let's say a year of your dream life. Let's say your dream life is to have $1 billion in your account, have a huge house. And I think when you get when that wish or that like dream comes into fruition, the moment you are experiencing it, you feel joy and happiness. But when it becomes a norm in your life, you know, it's like, oh, I've been living like this for a month now, and it's never gonna leave me. It's gonna be like this for the whole year. So you never like, the happiness is not as high as the first time you experienced it. Hi, Edison Clinton here. I was recording this episode and I never thought of the time limit to your prayer or your wish getting granted, your dream life. And I forgot about the end date. And while I was editing this, I just thought about the end date and I was like, oh, if like there's a limit to how much you can exist in that timeline, which is your dream, the last couple of months, let's say the last 4 months of that being your reality, would be the most depressing moment of your existence, because you know everything you have experienced so far has been, even if in like the limbo moments in like the first like 7 months, even if you forget, after a certain amount of time you would come back to earth and realize that your life is going to go back to normal and you're going to be a normie again. And I feel if God did that, a lot of people would be super duper depressed. So yeah, I just like had that like epiphany while I was like editing this episode, and I was like, I have to like say that, because if I don't put this in this episode, what if someone like listens and like thinks of that? So yeah, if you were thinking of that when I was saying that, that's what I ultimately thought of. I think if heaven is like eternal happiness and like joy and blah blah blah, I think if you have one experience for eternity, and eternity is infinity, like eternity never ends. If you have this experience forever and ever and ever and ever, then that experience boils down to apathy. That's what I was saying to myself. I was like, that experience will boil down to apathy, because you would never think of that experience as special anymore. You think of that experience as the norm, and we take a lot of normal things apathetically. We don't really derive joy from normal things, if that makes sense. I know a lot of people are like grateful people, but I've never seen someone who had water their whole life and are grateful for water. Does that make sense? I've never seen someone like be like super like grateful for water, or like someone who like always had clothes be grateful for clothes. I think when you had a material or a situation be constant in your life, then there's an apathy towards that material or situation. And I'm not talking about like emotional like experiences. I'm talking about like material things or like common situations. Because I was just thinking just now when I was talking, I think and talk at the same time. Yeah, I was thinking when I was talking just now, and I was like, oh, what if someone who had a dog and someone who doesn't have a dog, and I was like, oh, like there's an emotional bond with that person and that dog. So like when you have like an emotional relationship with an object or a human being or an animal, there is a difference. You don't feel apathetic towards that animal when, like, if you have it forever, you feel joy or like happiness whenever you experience that animal, or anger or hatred. So yeah, that's all I was, all thinking of. And I was like, hell, the opposite way. I was like, if you stay in hell forever, then you will get used to the domination and the pain, so it becomes apathetic as well. You like, and I might be wrong, and if I'm wrong, like comment and like tell me what you think. But like, I think if you experience hell and you know like this is going to go on forever, then your experience in hell becomes apathetic. Because if someone who's living a very horrible life, if they're aware they're living like a very horrible life, or they're aware that they don't like their life, you know you're gonna exist like this forever, you end up not caring about your situation, because there's no better, like there's no hope. Because you don't have hope, you don't really care about what's going on anymore. Yeah, and the joke I was gonna say, like, hell is literally gonna be a fun place, because if all the celebrities are going there and all the cool people are going there, and it's gonna be a party every time, then why not everyone want to go to hell? Like, I saw that joke and I was like, oh, that's really funny. I want to be a friend slut. Yeah, I want to be a friend slut. I know. Oh my god, I've changed a lot. But when I started this podcast, I was like, I really want to have one friend. Like, I want to have like a curated friend. I want whoever I'm friends with to have the same morals as me and the same behavior. Like, I want the person I'm friends with to be an extension of who I am. And I was watching a Netflix. No, I was watching a series, and it's called Adult. It's on Hulu, and there's this character, Owen Theo. It plays the character, and this character is a friend slot. There's an episode called Friend Slot, and I think that's what I want to be. Like, Owen's character in this show is friends with anybody and everybody. And I'm gonna watch it again like next week, or maybe sometime this week, and like watch that episode again and see like the formula to make friends. Let me tell you what Owen's character does. So, how to make friends. I'm really bad. I'm not really bad at making friends. I just live upstairs and I think I'm the dumbest person on the planet. So when I'm talking to other people, I'm like, oh, they will know that I don't know anything. So I'm not gonna talk to this person. That's why I think when I see people for the first time. But what was I saying? So Owen's character like sees someone for the first time and instantly compliments that person. And I don't like compliments, and I don't compliment people, because I know when I tell people compliments, it sounds like I'm judging the person, so I never say it. And when I receive compliments from people, it sounds like someone's making fun of me, so I don't. Compliments really irritates me. But I think that I want to like improve in like complimenting people, because I rarely compliment people. I know how to say sorry, because sorry is like baked into my genes, but I don't know how to like compliment people. So that's why I want to like fix in becoming a friend. So the first thing is like complimenting a person, and then after you compliment the person, talk to the person about the person. Does that make sense? So this scene, Owen was in prison, and then the prison warden was like coming to like get Owen. No, he wasn't in prison. He went to like the police. Yeah, he went to like the police station because he became friends with like a killer. I'm telling you, he was friends with everybody. He was like, so how he became friends with the killer, I think we never saw how he became friends with the killer, but I think like the compliment and then talking about the person and then they became friends, blah blah blah. But so Owen's character is talking to like the killer, and then he found out that the way they found out that the guy was a killer was a photo with Owen. Like, they were both talking, and like they saw the photo with Owen, and they were asking Owen the question, but Owen never remembers the people he was friends with. Whatever. I'm really bad at telling stories. So this like woman like came up to like Owen and said I can't remember the character's name, like Owen's character's name, but I'll just use the name Owen. And this woman came up to Owen and said, Owen. And then he came up and he was like, oh, you have really nice earrings. And then he was talking to her about her earrings, and she was like talking to him about her kids. And then she told him her whole life story. So I think becoming a friend slut has to be really good. And I'm going to become a friend slut by complimenting people. I tried to do that like last week. Like compliment people, but I became friends a lot because everybody. So I work in this. I don't work actually, but I do this job. It's like a cleaning job, and I was friends with everybody, even if everybody had this like initial dislike for me because I did my job well. Like I don't know what people's problems are. They were like, "Oh, I should slow down. I should stop working as hard." I was like, "Why would I slow down and not work hard? We are not in the same wavelength. Sorry. Like, I want to do my job and leave. No, no, I wanted to like do the most because I wanted to be recognized. Yes. In a room full of blacks, I will be the best black. They were all black people cleaning, and at the end, like the woman told me that she really appreciated like my work ethic, and I was like, yeah, this is what I was doing it for, not for y'all blacks. Like, you could, but I was friends with like most of them, but I never. My philosophy on friendships is I don't think I'm going to be. I think I'm friendly with every single person. I give every single person all of me. I'm friendly with every single person, but I don't believe I will include every single person as a friend in my life. Or like, there was this person that asked me for my number. I was like, shoot yourself in the eyeball. I do not have a phone. And I whipped out my phone. I was like, oh, there's no SIM card in this phone. I'm not trying to be mean, but like I've never been someone who like becomes friends with everybody. You have to like have the characteristics of my friend to for me to become your friend. And you have to be a reader. That's the number one thing. You have to read books because I have a problem like not reading as much books as possible. My books, okay, let me tell you this. I have my book goal for this year is 52 books. So a book a week. So far I've read 25. So I'm really behind on my goals. So that's why I have to read like 2 books a week now. Um. Oh yeah, when I was writing my dissertation, I did not read any books. I remember now. That's why I'm behind. Okay, I'll start reading 2 books a week now. This is a hot take. I always struggled with hate on social media when I had like a lot of followers, and when I did not have, and now when I don't have a lot of followers. When I used to post on social media, I struggled a lot with hate because when I was younger, I watched this show called Bizarre Fark, and they were vloggers who posted on social media, and there was an episode about hate, and the show like profiled haters as young children, like kids kids who don't know better. And for the longest time, I thought whenever you got hate from social media or anybody, it was like young kids or like teenagers. I truly do believe that the people who hate or people who compliment or like comment on social media mostly are adults, and the age range of adults who comment on social media are from 20 to 75, because every single hate I got on social media when I was doing this horrible thing was from grown adults who had like conviction and like who knew like, oh, what I'm saying could hurt this person, but they said it anyways. And I feel kids are not as cruel as we think they are. I think adults are worse than kids. I think all adults should be nuked, including me. Like, I'm not joking. I've never left hate on someone's page. Maybe I've left constructive criticism, and I've like made fun of people. Okay, I've left hate maybe sometimes. I think hate comes mostly from adults. I don't think kids like hate as much as adults do. I think adults especially people who are not maybe not unhappy with their lives. Like I said, with like the fact why I deleted social media or like Instagram, for example, is because they see X doing better than them, and there's this sharp pain that people experience, and when you comment on someone who's doing better than you or someone who you feel doesn't deserve the views or like the followers or blah blah blah, it helps in a way. I don't know, it has never helped me. I've never done something like that, but like maybe it helps them. I truly, because I wrote this on my notes, I said I think adults, I think the people who live hate on pages are mostly adults, not kids. And I don't yeah, I really don't think it's kids. I think it's mostly adults. I think it's like you can literally see Twitter. Like the way people type on Twitter is like insane. It's really insane that people like have the freedom. Not yeah, freedom, and like have thoughts like that. And I'm like, "Oh my god. Like why would you think less of like another human because they don't look like you?" I don't know. I don't have the energy to talk anymore. I think this episode has been really good. Yeah, but whatever. Also, I switched back to the Apple Watch. I know I said the Apple Watch is notification central, but the only reason why I switched back to the Apple Watch, my Casio watch broke. So I had to switch back to a watch. I like having a watch in my hand. I can't operate without a watch in my hand because I feel I don't know what the time is and I'm not in control. But when I have a watch in my hand, I'm like, oh, it's like 10 o'clock right now. So I know it's 10 o'clock right now. And I feel like a sense of control when I have like a watch in my hand. When I have my phone, I know you can check your phone for like the time, but you have to like take your phone out of your pocket. Or like when I listen to music, I don't want to like take my phone out of the pocket and like check the time. So I like having a watch. I wish Apple could make like a standard watch that does not have like notifications and like just exist as a watch and you don't have to charge it. And that will be the greatest watch of all time. I'm gonna get another Casio watch, this time a black one. I know I got brown the last time. I don't like this model because it like beeped every single hour. I don't care that much to like be notified every single hour. I just want to know when the time is, when I want to know what the time is. That's the only qualms I had with like the Casio watch, because when I was recording a podcast episode, if you go to like the last 15 episodes since I bought the Casio watch, you would hear the Casio watch beep every single time I was recording a podcast episode. Um, yeah, I think that's all I have to say. Um, I don't know. I think what I'm gonna say about my auntie, I might write it on a Substack because I can't say it out loud. Yeah, I've thought of it. I've been thinking of it for the last couple of weeks. I've thought of it and I've like not written it down. I'm gonna write it down tomorrow, today, after this, and send it to her tomorrow, or like maybe write a Substack, because I don't think she's gonna read. Like if I write a 1,000 word essay about my auntie, will she read it? No. So I'm gonna like write a short birthday message. She's turning 50. I wish she was here so I could like record a podcast with her, but she's not. Um, Last week was my grandma's remembrance. She like it's been 10 years since she died. I want to talk about that a wee bit. I had a like I don't have a problem with my grandma, but like I think there are a lot of people in our lives that we see as good people, and I know I've said this on podcast before, that we see as good people that other people may see as a villain. And I think in a way my grandma was like a villain to some people, but at the same time I truly loved my grandma because she was like a very generous and kind person. But I think when you're given tributes about people, like we tend to like think of only the good parts of like someone's life, or the good parts of like what someone was. And I'm like not a, like I hope when I die, like not everybody says good things about me. I hope people say like the hard things I did to them, like the things that they did not like I did, because I think that's what life is meant to like contain. I think you're meant to have people who appreciate you for yourself and people who despise you, because you can't exist in a space where every single person likes you, because it's impossible to be liked by every single person. I think that's a struggle I had my like in adolescence and like growing like in my teenage years. I wanted like every person who breathes to like me, and they could not like me. There was a man in my secondary school that said I was not like born, I was pooped. That's what he said. He hated me that much. He was like, I don't know. He said I was not like, they did not give birth to me. Like they pooped me out, and I was like, okay, thank you. Yeah. Um. Yeah. I don't think you're meant to have I don't think every single person is meant to like you, and I think you should be okay with that. I think you don't like every single person, so not every and but I don't. I'm not saying you should be mean to every single person. I think you should approach everything with kindness and like treat people in a very friendly manner, and Treat people like human beings. If you would not like someone to poop on your face, don't poop on somebody else's face. That's all I have to say. But yeah, it's been 10 years since my grandma died, and I wonder if my grandma was still alive, what her life would look like, or if she was still alive, she would have been 95 by now. And I wonder if she would still be happy like living that long to 95. That's crazy. Um yeah, I think I spent 14 years or like 13 years with my grandma. And I was wondering, I was like trying to like think of like what to like write on the Substack when I was like writing the Substack. And ultimately I wrote about the experience I had in my grandma's house. So I'm going to like like briefly talk about what I wrote on the Substack. So every single I want to like I want to tell you what happened. Like this is where I started my memory. This is not my first memory of my grandma, but this is where I started my memory. And I've been trying to like put myself in my grandma's shoes in the weeks leading onto her like the day she died. And I'm gonna tell you four stories or like four distinct memories I had of my grandma growing up for like the 14 years we were together. So when my grandma was like every Friday when I was in primary school, because I failed primary school, then I had to go to like a different school, and I was going to like my cousin's school, so I was staying in my cousin's house, and every Friday my grandma would come and pick me up from like my cousin's house, and I always felt joy leaving my auntie's house and going to my grandma's house because I felt my grandma's house was like a very safe place for me to like exist. And at the same time, like as a child who was growing up in other people's houses or like other families' houses, I did not completely feel like, oh, this is my house. But in my grandma's house, I felt like me and my cousins subconsciously, like I did not like actually like think of it now. It's now as an adult that I'm thinking of it. But when I was growing up and whenever I was like in my grandma's house with my cousins, I felt, oh, we are all in the same like level. It's like a neutral ground. Like we're all grandkids in this house. But like when I'm in your house or in your parents' house, I am your cousin in this house and you're like the kids in this house. So like I think whenever was in my grandma's house, I felt more comfortable than in my other auntie's house, except for like one auntie. I can't say my family members' names on the internet. It's impossible. But like only one auntie's house, I did not feel uncomfortable to like be myself. Like it felt exactly the same as my grandma's house. And the other memory I had was whenever like we threw parties in my grandma's house, she never came. She only like came out for one like for a moment. She never like experienced the party with everybody. She was always tucked away in her room or somewhere else when the party was going on. And I always wondered if now I did not think of that as a child. When you're a child, you're not thinking about other people, you're only thinking about yourself. But like now I wondered how she felt when every single person was like having fun, like throwing a party for their kids or blah blah blah. And she was a blip in that event. And I know and I wonder if she felt, oh, why are these people not inviting me? This is like kind of lonely. I'm like literally in this room. But another thing, my grandma went to like parties, like events every week, and I remembered like growing up, she always had PR. That's the best way I can explain what she was bringing home. She was bringing PR home every week, like to the house whenever she was going to parties. And the last thing, I think she was generous, but she was very short tempered. There was a time, so when I lived in my grandma's house, I used to sleep in my grandma's bed. And then when I turned a certain age, I stopped sleeping in my grandma's bed. And this is like the most hard, like, I think this was like the hardest thing to like write on the Substack. But like, I stopped sleeping in my grandma's bed. and I started sleeping on the floor in her room. Like this, we slept in the same room, but not the same bed because she smelled like an old person, and I think it's a young person. As a child, not a young person, as a child, you no one's like this, and as a child, when I was younger, I never liked stink or like smells, so I like refused to like sleep in the same bed as my grandma for years, and then she like I slept on the floor, blah blah blah. I can't. I don't know what I'm trying to say. Oh yeah. Um. So she slept on the bed. I slept on the floor, and the bed was like big enough for like 2 people, 10 people to sleep on the bed. The bed was big enough for 20 people to sleep on the bed. But I always slept on the floor because I did not like the smell my grandma like had. I did not. I still don't like that smell. Whenever sometimes when I like there's a guy in my gym that has that smell, and whenever I smell him, I'm like, huh, please never. When like there was a day. I'm not trying to be mean, but there's a day that I was like walking on the treadmill, and this guy that has the same smell like came to sit and stand in the same treadmill. I left that treadmill and went to a different treadmill because the smell is just pungent. But like I really don't regret not sleeping in the same bed as my grandma because I could not handle that smell. But as a young child, I did not like sleep in the same bed with my grandma. But like the thing I regret the most, not regret, but like I wish I did more of, and was like take photos of my grandma because I was even thinking recently because next week's the day this podcast comes out is my auntie's birthday, and I was like, oh, I don't have any photos of my aunties as well. So I need to take photos with people more. I know. Oh no. Yeah. I don't think I'm comfortable enough to like take photos with other people. I rarely take photos of myself. I only film these episodes. I rarely take photos of myself. But I'm happy for my grandma. Let me tell you how my grandma died. She died from cancer. It's on the Substack. And let me tell you what happened. I'm not going to tell you the full story because if I tell you the full story, how would you enjoy the Substack? The 5,000 word essay I wrote about my grandma. How would you enjoy it? Um okay, let me tell you what happened. So the night before my grandma died, we were all in a call with her, and my aunties were like thinking of how to bring her because she was going to die. Like the doctor told her 6 months ago that she has 6 months to live in America, and my oh no, my grandma. I'm not crying. I wish I could cry, but I truly don't know. It's just you see, this is why I don't like talking because people would think I'm a horrible person. I'm laughing at somebody dying, but it's a family member, so you can't say I'm laughing at a stranger. So I don't know how to take anything seriously, but the day my grandma, okay, last thing, the night before my grandma died, um, we were all in a call with my grandma, and like every single person was talking to her, and then because she could not respond anymore when like you we were on a call with her, she could not like talk to you, and she could only like she barely made sounds. Like my other aunties were talking to her. I don't think she made sounds. Then they put me on the phone, and then I spoke, and then she started screaming, and I was like, "Don't worry, EA," because I called my grandma EA. I was like, "Don't worry, EA. Don't worry, you come back." And then that night, I could not sleep at all. Um, Something happened. It's on the Substack. I really want you to go read the Substack if you don't understand what I'm trying to say. And then it was like 2 o'clock when my grandma died. I might be wrong. I'm pretty sure it's 2 o'clock. I can't remember the time exactly, but I know I was awake. And then I was like struggling to sleep. And then suddenly my eyes went off and I slept off. And I woke up an hour later and my auntie was like bawling. She was crying so much. And as a child, I could not understand. I understood death. No, I did not understand it. I thought what I thought. Let me explain explain my thought. Like my brain path, like what I was thinking. I thought, y'all are so dumb. She's literally sleeping. When she comes back, when she knows she's in her house, she will wake up. Like, and we had like I can't remember how long her body was in the casket in her house, but we had her body in her house for the longest time. And I thought, oh, these people are stupid. My grandma, she's gonna wake up because I could not like as a young person, you cannot like fathom like the loss of somebody until I like actually saw her body, and then I started crying. And before, like when we heard my grandma died, I did not cry because my grandma died. I cried because I saw my auntie crying, and I was like, oh, X is crying and X is crying. I should be crying. And then my uncle was crying as well. I was like, okay, I should be crying. So I started crying because I truly don't understand it. And then I like picked a cloth for my grandma's room. And I'm not trying to be woo woo, but like, I still have the out like the shirt from my grandma's room I picked. I washed it. At first I did not wash it for like years, but I washed it now. And I ruined it. So yeah, whatever. Um, what was I saying? On the podcast art, the shirt is gonna be on the podcast art, the one that's coming out next year. I'm getting cold now, but I really miss my. Sometimes when I do, like there was a time I was like, I don't. This is a very tbh, but like whenever I experience moments in my life that I did not experience with my grandma, I always think in my head, oh, can she see me? But like when this was like in 2022, there was a day I stopped going to my old church, and that day I broke down and started crying like a baby. And I wondered if my grandma could see me that at that moment. But yeah, I still truly do miss my grandma, but I wonder I would have not wanted her to live to like 95 because I think dying like at 80 or like 85 was like a very good time because she was like suffering from cancer, and you don't want someone that you appreciate and love to like suffer just because you want that person to linger on and stay alive because of you. Um yeah. Hey, I think that's all I have for today. I have poured out everything. I've given you all of me. I've given you my blood, my last blood. I gave you everything I possibly could. This is almost 1 hour, and hopefully, I can cut some parts out because I don't want to share a lot. I have to cut this down to like 30 minutes or like 40 minutes. My book of the week is The Invisible Life of Addie de Leroux. It's really good. I'll speak to you next week. Goodbye.